intimacy begins long before touch. It begins with presence. Presence is the art of being truly there, without distraction, without desire to control, without rushing toward a goal. When two human beings decide to connect, especially in the sacred space of intimacy, the quality of their presence sets the foundation for everything that follows. This is not about the physical body first. It is about the mind, the energy, the breath, and the awareness each person brings into the shared space. One who is not fully present cannot truly give or receive. Their mind may be elsewhere, their emotions unstable, their heart closed. In such a state, the physical act becomes hollow, disconnected, and at worst, damaging. But when presence is cultivated with intention, it creates a field of safety, trust, and deep listening. To be present means to see your partner not as an object, but as a living being carrying stories, memories, emotions, and a unique rhythm of life. It means acknowledging that this connection is not about possession or performance, but about union, respect, and discovery. Eye contact becomes deeper. Silence becomes meaningful. Breath becomes shared. Even without a single touch, presence can create intimacy more powerful than words or movement. It is the doorway to vulnerability, to emotional honesty, and to the spiritual aspect of human connection. Presence also means patience, not moving faster than the comfort of your partner, not acting out of urgency, but allowing each moment to unfold naturally. There is no race in true connection. There is rhythm. There is listening. There is alignment. Before any physical closeness happens, one must learn to sense, to feel the subtle signals, the breath patterns, the changes in body language, the expression in the eyes. This sensing is only possible when the mind is quiet, free of selfish intention, and grounded in the now. A person who has trained their awareness through meditation, breathwork, or simply a life of self-reflection brings a different energy into intimacy. They are calm, aware, and not driven by impulse but by intention. They understand that presence is not only a gift to the other person, but also a doorway into their own deeper experience. In this space, both individuals can feel safe to open up, to express boundaries, desires, fears, and emotions without fear of judgment or pressure. Presence then becomes a mutual agreement. I see you. I hear you. I honor your being. And only from that foundation can physical intimacy begin, as an extension of inner alignment rather than a replacement for it. In this way, presence transforms the entire nature of closeness. What was once a mechanical act becomes a spiritual dance. What was once a moment of tension becomes a moment of truth. And what was once a desire for fulfillment becomes an offering of connection. You said, T-chi-2-st K-N-D-T-nu-T-G-O-T-H-E-D-N-G-S-A-N-D-N-T-R-O-U-P-T-O 500 more. This ChatGPT said D. The body is a temple, and union is a sacred practice, not an act of desire alone. In a world where physical relationships are often reduced to surface-level satisfaction or impulsive craving, we lose sight of the deeper essence of intimacy. When two people come together physically, they are not simply engaging in a biological function. They are entering into an energetic exchange, a union that holds the potential to be both healing and transcendent. To approach this union with mindfulness is to treat the body, both your own and your partner's, with reverence, care, and spiritual awareness. Just as one does not enter a temple with dirty feet or a distracted mind, one should not enter the body of another person with haste, disrespect, or disconnection. The body holds emotions, history, trauma, and memory. It is not just skin, muscle, and bone. It is a living archive of one's journey. To approach it with honor is to recognize its depth and treat it with the same sacredness you would offer to a place of worship. When you see your partner's body as sacred, your actions change. Your intention changes. Touch becomes prayerful, movements become mindful, and intimacy becomes a moment of shared elevation, not mere gratification. Desire in itself is not wrong. It is natural, powerful, and beautiful. But when desire is not purified through awareness and respect, it becomes consuming, a fire that burns without direction. Sacred union invites you to harness that fire and transform it into warmth, connection, and light. This transformation begins with respect for your partner's comfort, timing, signals, and emotions. It deepens with communication, gentle, open, and honest. And it flourishes with trust, the kind that allows both people to surrender without fear, knowing that their dignity will remain intact. When two bodies come together with this level of intention, the experience shifts. It is no longer about release or achievement. It becomes a ceremony. In that ceremony, both individuals give and receive energy, share breath, and touch each other's essence. They become mirrors for one another, reflecting beauty, vulnerability, and strength. Every gesture becomes meaningful. Every moment becomes sacred. Even the silences between breaths hold weight and wonder. The sacredness of union also means understanding when not to proceed. Sometimes the body or the heart is not ready. Sometimes the right thing to do is to pause, to hold, to simply be present without asking anything in return. This, too, is part of the sacred path, knowing that true intimacy includes restraint, patience, and deep listening. When intimacy is approached in this way, it becomes more than physical. It becomes spiritual. It nourishes rather than drains, heals rather than wounds, and connects rather than separates. In honoring the body as a temple and union as a sacred act, we step beyond the noise of desire and into the silence of connection. It is in this silence that two people may discover not only each other, but themselves. You said TCHE 3GST KD and the D2EG and ANDO of keyword UPTO 500 word as ChatGPT said. Without trust, physical connection becomes shallow. With trust, it becomes transformative. Trust is the invisible thread that holds intimacy together. It is not created instantly, nor can it be demanded. It must be earned, nurtured, and continuously honored. In the context of closeness between two individuals, trust acts as the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, any touch, any movement, no matter how gentle, lacks depth. But with it, even silence can feel profound, and a simple gaze can speak louder than words. Trust means knowing that your emotions are safe in the presence of another. It means believing that your boundaries will be respected, that your vulnerabilities won't be used against you, and that your truth will not be judged. This level of safety is not just emotional, it is physical and spiritual. For many, the body carries memories of pain or fear, and entering a space of intimacy without trust can trigger these echoes. But when trust exists, healing can begin. The body relaxes, the breath softens, the mind quiets, and the soul feels seen. Building trust is a slow, intentional process. It begins with honesty, not just spoken, but lived. It grows through consistent actions, listening without interruption, honoring consent without hesitation, and creating space for the other person to be fully themselves. Every time you keep your word, every time you respond with kindness, every time you pause to ask, "Are you okay?" you are building that bridge. And every time you violate that space, even subtly, you weaken it. In sacred intimacy, trust allows for surrender, not in the sense of giving up control blindly, but in the sense of letting go of fear. When both people feel safe enough to let their guards down, they can meet each other with authenticity, without masks, without performance. In this space, connection becomes something deeper than physical. It becomes emotional resonance. It becomes energetic alignment. You are no longer just touching skin. You are touching the person behind it. Trust also requires self-awareness. One must know their own limits, desires, and wounds in order to communicate them clearly. Without this internal clarity, misunderstandings and unintended harm can occur. A person who knows themselves is more capable of creating a safe space for another. They don't need to dominate, impress, or manipulate. They simply need to be present, sincere, and open. Ultimately, trust transforms the entire experience of physical connection. It turns hesitation into harmony, fear into freedom, and distance into closeness. With trust, two people don't just come together. They dissolve the walls between them. They breathe together, move together, and become students of one another's soul. This is the difference between something that is forgotten and something that leaves a mark. Not because of what happened, but because of how deeply it was felt. Where there is trust, there is depth. Where there is depth, there is transformation. You said, Foresti Kieniti, Vutia DNGCNDENTO of KVDU UPTO 500 or these ChatGPT said, patience and awareness guide the body while compassion leads the heart. In the realm of intimacy, rushing is a form of forgetting the sacredness of the moment, the uniqueness of the person before you, and the subtle language of energy that is always speaking. If we take the time to listen, to move with patience is not simply to slow down the body, but to slow down the mind. It is to release expectation and instead enter a space of curiosity, of presence, of deep respect for the unfolding of connection as it wants to happen, not as we want to control it. Awareness begins in stillness. It is the noticing of breath, of eye movement, of hesitation, of invitation. Every body speaks through breath, through warmth, through silence, through shifts in rhythm, and only a mind that is quiet can truly listen. If awareness is lacking, one becomes clumsy, not just in touch but in intention. But if awareness is present, then even the simplest gestures become precise, meaningful, and aligned. You are no longer acting from instinct alone. You are responding from wisdom, responding from care. This awareness is the compass that prevents harm and opens doors to deeper connection. But patience and awareness alone are not enough. The heart must be engaged, and it must be led by compassion. Compassion is the capacity to feel what the other feels without assuming you already know. It is the courage to slow down even more when your partner's energy asks for softness, and the sensitivity to step back when space is needed. Compassion allows you to act not from self-interest but from shared interest. To ask not only, "What do I want?" but "What do we need together in this moment?" When intimacy is led by compassion, ego dissolves. The experience is no longer about proving anything, achieving anything, or performing. It becomes a meditation on connection, a silent honoring of another person's humanness. You begin to feel with them, not just for them. In this place, physical union becomes emotional nourishment. The body is not used, but celebrated. Boundaries are not feared, but welcomed. Each moment becomes a choice, not driven by impulse, but by care. And sometimes the most compassionate act is to pause, to hold space without touching, to breathe in harmony without movement, to simply remain present in silence. These moments are often the most intimate, for they are free of striving and full of presence. They reflect a depth of patience that says, "I am here," with no need to rush, no desire to take, only a wish to understand and honor what is. This kind of intimacy, guided by patience, awareness, and compassion, does not fade quickly. It stays in the memory of the body, in the warmth of the heart, in the quiet knowing that one was seen, held, and respected. It is not performance, not fantasy. It is truth, and truth, when touched gently, transforms everything. You said, "Fiest KEDYTO EADNGIS ANDENTRO off KNOTO UPTO 500 war DCHGPT said, true connection honors boundaries, breath, and mutual intention. In any relationship, intimacy is a shared space where both individuals must feel free to express their needs, desires, and limits without fear of judgment. This connection is not born out of force or manipulation, but out of deep respect for one another's autonomy. Boundaries, both emotional and physical, are not walls to be broken down, but sacred spaces to be honored. They are the delicate lines that preserve one's individuality and dignity while allowing for a union of minds, hearts, and bodies. The true beauty of intimacy lies in the mutual understanding that each person has the right to define and communicate what is comfortable, safe, and fulfilling for them. When these boundaries are respected, intimacy is no longer a transaction or a performance, it becomes a dialogue. And just as language has pauses, silence, and shifts in tone, intimacy too must flow in a way that is aware of these nuances. The breath is the language of the body, and in moments of deep connection, breath often becomes synchronized. This mutual rhythm is more than just a physical response. It is a reflection of shared energy, a pulse that beats in harmony, a conversation without words. In these moments, breath carries the emotion, the intention, and the understanding between two people. Breath is the sacred thread that ties two souls together. The act of breathing together is a sign of alignment, not just physically, but energetically. It is the space where you can feel the other person's presence and acknowledge their being without the need for validation or recognition. When we breathe together, we are entering a shared moment of understanding, moving as one, not because we are the same, but because we are willing to honor each other's pace, rhythm, and flow. This mutual pacing is what creates a space of vulnerability and openness, where both people are free to explore, express, and deepen the connection at a pace that is comfortable and fulfilling for both. Mutual intention is the final cornerstone of true connection. In intimacy, Both individuals must approach the experience with the same goal, not to dominate, not to possess, but to co-create a space where both feel seen, understood, and respected. Mutual intention is a quiet agreement to put the other's well-being, joy, and comfort on the same level as your own. It is a commitment to presence, to being fully available, mentally and emotionally, in the shared space. When intention is shared and aligned, there is no tension, no desire to get something out of the experience. There is only the giving, the sharing, and the reciprocal act of connection. When boundaries are respected, breath is shared, and intention is mutual, intimacy becomes a sacred space of deep trust and fulfillment. It is not an act that leaves one person feeling empty or used, but an experience that enriches both individuals. The connection is not only physical, but emotional, spiritual, and energetic. It is a space where both individuals can come together as equals, not seeking to take, but to offer, to learn, and to grow in unity. And in this sacred space, the true beauty of intimacy unfolds, not as an act, but as a dance of mutual respect, shared energy, and connected hearts. You said, 6st, ki udtadngs anentro of qupto 500 word ds. ChatGPT said, in the union of two bodies, there lies the potential for unity of spirit, if approached with mindfulness. This connection, when entered into with intention, becomes more than just a physical exchange. It becomes a meeting of energies, a sharing of souls. In every touch, in every movement, there is an opportunity to connect on a level that transcends the material world. But this requires both individuals to approach the union with reverence and awareness, recognizing that they are not merely engaging in a physical act, but in a deeply spiritual one. The body, while a vessel of flesh and bone, is also a gateway to the soul. When two people come together in union, they are not just joining their bodies, they are joining their energies. This is why mindfulness is so essential in intimacy. It brings awareness to every action, every gesture, every breath. When the mind is present and attuned, the connection becomes an expression of mutual respect and understanding, a dance that flows from the heart. But if the mind is distracted or disconnected, the union remains superficial, lacking the depth that can transform it into something truly meaningful. Mindfulness in intimacy means being fully aware of the other person, of their needs, their emotions, their rhythms, and their energy. It means listening to their body as much as their words, sensing their breath, feeling the subtle shifts in their energy. It is about creating a space where both individuals can be vulnerable, where both are free to express themselves fully without fear of judgment or rejection. This is the essence of unity of spirit. It is about coming together, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, to share a moment that honors both of you. When approached with mindfulness, intimacy becomes a moment of deep connection, not just a fleeting pleasure. It is a space where both individuals can experience a sense of oneness, where their hearts and souls merge in a way that transcends the physical. The act of intimacy becomes a sacred offering, an opportunity to show love, care, and devotion to one another. This offering is not about seeking personal satisfaction, but about giving to the other person, about honoring them with your presence, your energy, and your love. In this sacred space, Intimacy becomes a form of spiritual growth. It is an opportunity to learn about yourself, about your partner, and about the nature of connection. When two people come together in this way, they are not just satisfying physical desires, they are deepening their understanding of love, trust, and unity. The energy exchanged is not just physical but spiritual. It has the power to heal, to transform, and to elevate both individuals. Ultimately, when intimacy is approached with mindfulness, it becomes a form of communion, a merging of two spirits, two energies, into one. It is an act that goes beyond the body, beyond desire, beyond momentary pleasure. It becomes a celebration of life, of connection, and of love, and in this unity of spirit, both individuals are able to experience the fullness of the connection, the depth of the union, and the beauty of shared intimacy.